Hi everyone, I'm GREYMOND. Today I'm doing day one of responding to questions about OCD recovery, which you left under my Ask a Question about OCD video. First question is, I had a bad panic attack in May. I started feeling like everything was off after that. So I started Googling, found depersonalization and derealization, and read some scary stories. It has given me bad anxiety. Now I can't seem to stop thinking about it. I feel like I'm constantly questioning everything. Is this OCD and what can help? Of course, it's OCD. What can help is, first of all, don't do any more Googling. Second, feeling depersonalized is it's not even very common. This is what happens when you have anxiety, is the anxiety is so high that you're hyper focused on some thought and then everything else doesn't feel real. And then the person starts to worry about things not feeling real. And what does that mean? And then they get into another theme. So you have to say, yep, nothing feels real. Okay, whatever, disregarding. The more the panic goes up, the less things will feel real. So your job is to reduce the panic. And the only way to reduce the panic is just to let the panic be and don't engage in it. Like, yeah, I'm very panicked right now, nothing feels real. So you're not doing anything in a sense, and doing nothing will make the panic go down. If you're actively trying to make the panic go down, like I need to calm down, I need to feel better, I need to do this now, you're actually bringing the panic up. Or does everything feel real now? How real does it feel? Does it feel more real than yesterday or less real than yesterday? Again, you're bringing the anxiety up, so you have to say no. Doesn't matter. Kind of remove yourself emotionally from the situation. So stepping back and saying, "This is still OCD. This is a very common OCD. I'm disregarding." Don't dig into it. Don't compare how you felt. Don't compare it to what you read. Just don't compare it. View it, you have to choose to view it as OCD and move on. I think you're just doing a lot of analyzing, and that's why it's staying as high as it is. Next question is, I want to ask why OCD thoughts stop us from completely involving with others, how to deal in that situation. So I'm not really exactly sure what you mean. But if you're meaning to have relationships with other people, it's not really stopping you. If you mean paying attention to other people, or when other people are talking, for example, it's just because your anxiety is so high. So it's kind of like if your house was on fire, you see your house being on fire, and then somebody's talking to you about something completely different. It's very difficult to focus, right? So that's just normal course of OCD. You just need to work on it as you do on like you need to work on your OCD recovery. As you work on OCD recovery, the relationships with other people will improve. And you'll have more attention and all of this. I find that I get a lot of clients who are students who worry about having trouble paying attention. That's very, very common. I pretty much see it all the time. So if that's the case and you're worrying about paying attention to what the person is saying, things like that, then the more you worry about it, right? The more you fixate on how much am I paying attention, the less you're actually paying attention. Next question is, hi Ali, I'm a new subscriber and I just found your channel. I was wondering, why do I have the same OCD? For some reason, there is a theme of OCD that I'm having a hard time getting over. Does it mean that it's true or real or something? Also, this OCD started when I was about 16 and now I'm 28. The theme is HOCD, homosexual homophobic. I did not see that in your playlist. Now I am worried. Also, I've been with my boyfriend for 7 years now. I love him very much. So I don't know why this OCD is sticking. Then it makes me think, oh, maybe you are lying to yourself. Maybe you're a faker. So this is classic HOCD. That's exactly how it makes you feel. This is exactly how it makes you, like, the thought process go. But the reason why it's sticking around is because you're feeding it. OCD theme can stick around indefinitely as long as you feed it. It doesn't have like an expiration date. So as long as you're paying attention to the thought, you're still thinking, am I not? Let me figure it out. Let me analyze. I can tell you that accountability is huge in OCD recovery. Accountability to how many minutes a day you're spending on the thoughts, and literally counting the minutes. You need to be accountable how much time you're giving to this every single day. And I suggest writing it down for Puro specifically, this is a type of Puro. So because each of those minutes is like a power up for the mind. You're showing the mind that this is important and valid, and this is what makes the thoughts continue. So in order to stop the situation from continuing another decade, what you need to do is, okay, so today, say it's hard to go down right to zero from doing a lot of reassurance. So say I'm going to allow myself an hour max, here and there, totaling an hour of analyzing this thought. And especially in the first part of the day, the morning, afternoon, try to push it off as much as possible. That I can't waste all my minutes now. I only have 60 minutes. I can't waste it all now. So I'm going to push it further towards the end of the day. And always keep doing that. Because if you're just giving it free rein and giving it as much time as possible, that is why it's sticking so much. Also, not doing any avoidance behavior, spending time with your boyfriend, for example, questioning how you feel about him all the time, questioning if you're attracted to him. Those are all very common things that people with this type of OCD theme do. So really watching, what am I doing in terms of physical compulsions or physical reassurance behaviors, right? What am I doing in terms of how many minutes I'm analyzing, and cutting it down whenever possible, and keeping written track. You can write it in code if you don't want anybody to see it or whatever, but you need to see it, and you need to see exactly where you're at in terms of recovery work, and you will see how fast things shift. But again, when I say fast, I mean about 6 months. I don't mean like a week, because a lot of the times people are like, well, I did all the right things, I did all the recovery work for an entire week, Ali, and I'm not better. And that's just not the reality of the situation at all. It took you a long time to get here. It will take you about 6 months to get out of it. So just kind of be prepared for the long haul. And if you don't feel better right away, you have to understand a few things here. That the mind will push every kind of thought when you start to resist, in order to get you back into the fold, to get you back into reacting, right? So as soon as you start to resist, and then you feel like things suddenly got a lot harder, that's because your mind is kind of fighting back to your resisting to get you back into rumination. So look at it as, again, process of OCD recovery, doesn't matter, and we just keep going. And just keep pushing forward that way. You will see things will start to improve, but you just need to do a lot more exposure and response prevention. Exposure is just thoughts, right? Or physical compulsions, whatever, like being, not physical compulsions, but being presented with a trigger and feeling that anxiety. That's exposure. Everybody who has OCD is in exposure. It's just that the reaction is wrong, right? You need to prevent the response of fear. Even like fear comes in automatically, but then you take it to the next level. So you get that kind of pit in your stomach thinking, what if, that's automatic. That's coming at you. Nothing you can do about it in this moment, right? But then do you develop it further saying, oh yeah, maybe this is true. Okay, let me figure it out. So now you took that thought that came in at, say, at 8 and at an 8 out of 10 and brought it all the way to a 10 out of 10 or an 11 out of 10, so to speak, right? So don't do that. You see it coming in at 10 out of 10, or sorry, at 8 out of 10. I don't mean to confuse you. You see an automatic fear thought coming in at 8 out of 10. We're not going to up it to 10. No, what we're going to do is we're going to refuse, push it off. No, I can't waste my minutes on this one. I'm going to push it off further for another few hours. And you will see that it will spike a little bit. Maybe it will go to a 9, but then it will drop to a 6. Because usually if you don't pay attention again in the moment, it spikes up, but then it will drop, and you will feel that drop. So it's just continuously doing that, and it's a painful process. Recovery is painful. Doing recovery work, it's never a pleasant experience by any stretch for anybody. But you have to do this. You just have to, and you will see things will improve again over time. Next question is, hi Ali, I've been doing recovery work for 2 months now. At first my thoughts were switching a lot, but I keep disregarding now. It came back to the first theme I had, like someone committed suicide because of me. Is this normal during recovery to get the same thought back? Also, can OCD bring any kind of fears, even silly ones? Thank you for your help so far. I'm happy to help. Thank you for listening. So 2 questions, right? So first question is that usually if you are disregarding the original theme, what will happen is it will bring up some older theme from the past, because that's kind of like the lowest hanging fruit, so to speak. It's the easiest to reach for, right? Not That's not always the case, but I would say more like 90% of the time that's the case. Unless, the older theme is so kind of, it's been so run down that it just doesn't even spike you anymore. But if there was a little bit left with that, a little bit of anxiety, you bet it will bring it up. Um, the other question is, can OCD bring any kind of fears, even silly ones? Absolutely. The reason why is I kind of equate it to if you go to a comedy stand up routine and the person, like the comic, kind of runs out of material, but they're still kind of trying to keep going, but they have nothing else to say, and what they're saying now doesn't really quite make sense, and it's not really funny, but they're just kind of there. This is kind of your brain right now with the silly thoughts. Like, it doesn't really have anything, you know to get you with that you will buy into, but it's still trying to reach for something, so it's now really reaching. And again, that's very common. That's exactly how it goes. So just look at it as you're in the process of recovery. Clearly, you're doing good because the brain is uncomfortable with the original theme. It's now switching, meaning it's not getting the power up from the original theme like it used to, which is good. This is exactly what you should be seeing. If you don't see your theme shift, right, like for example, like the previous question, right? The person's not seeing their theme shift. That means that they're feeding it to so much that the brain doesn't need to shift to a different theme to get the same power up. In your case, you're not. So your brain is trying to find something else, but it can't really find anything because it's run out of material. So it's now bringing you up anything pretty much. So that's kind of the thing. So keep going. You're on the right track. You just have to keep going as you're going. You'll get there. Or if you want to go faster, then do more exposures. But if you do more exposures, you have to be able to handle the response prevention. Hi Ali, my issue is feeling stagnant in OCD recovery. I'm not getting worse, but at the same time, I'm still having troubles with certain things, and I expose myself whenever needed. My anxiety around my boyfriend with ROCD isn't going down, but I'm not sure if it's because my nerves are still sensitized or because I need to push more. What is your advice? Well, the advice is clearly to push more. Usually, when this happens, especially with ROCD, it's because the person is still very much analyzing. So I would focus on counting the minutes of how much you're analyzing throughout the day, and you should see it start to shift from there. Next question is, hi Ali, I have HIV OCD. Even after taking the tests and the nurse declaring them both fine, I still have doubt and ask a what if question. How does one move on from this? Like, what kind of exposure does one have to do? I even have fear of visiting dating sites because after visiting them, I accuse myself that I slept with some of them, especially those whose pictures look as if they have the virus. I have never met anyone from dating sites. I just fear doing so because of my mind and its accusations. So, what you need to do is to behave like you normally behave. So, clearly, well, to everyone else, it's clear that you don't have HIV. So, you don't have any reason to alter your behavior. So, if you want to go on the dating sites, go on the dating sites, right? There's no reason for you to live differently because OCD said this and that. Who cares what OCD says? Doesn't matter. I'm not listening to this anymore. So anything to do with HIV, whenever OCD mentions anything that has something to do with HIV, right? This is not relevant to you at all. So look at it the same as if OCD mentioned some other illness that you don't have that you don't have thoughts or obsessive thoughts about, and treat it the same way. It's just OCD gibberish. I'm disregarding. I'm not paying attention. Tell me as much as you want about HIV. I'm still not listening. And the more you do this, you will see that things will start to improve. I think that the fact that you're still analyzing and the fact that you are trying to figure out if you have HIV or not, you're spending time doing that. If you're searching Google, if you are avoiding regular behavior, that's what keeps it going. Next question is about feeling guilty and feeling ashamed of. I'm kind of like paraphrasing, having being suspicious of the persons being suspicious of their wife. So what you need to do is these thoughts are coming in. These thoughts the OCD thoughts are coming in, but you're not altering your behavior in any way. You're not doing anything special. You're not checking up on her. You're not trying to avoid. Uh, Basically, you're giving it no attention whatsoever to the best of your ability. So thoughts come in, they're painful thoughts. You want to get reassurance, you do not, you refuse reaction, and keep going like that. You will see that, it's kind of the same with all the themes, right? That as you keep doing it, the thoughts start to go away. But if you're feeding it all the time, it's only going to get worse. Uh, Hi, Ali. I have PRO. It's about a deadly disease, rabies. If I go out, touch something, my mind tells me everything is out. Everything outside is contaminated by saliva of rabies dogs. So I'm going to get it. It makes me keep worrying. Can you help, Ali? Okay. So I don't know why rabies is such a common topic with OCD, but it really is. Out of all different diseases a person can potentially get, why rabies, I don't know. I see this all the time. It is really, really, really common. It's almost common at the same level as HIV OCD. So basically, whenever this kind of situation comes up, what I see with clients is that they avoid a lot. They avoid touching things, they avoid going out, they avoid all those kinds of things. And that's what makes the situation worse. So you need to be doing active exposures all the time. Like, okay, I'm going to touch this and clearly get rabies. I'm going to touch that and clearly get rabies, and just keep doing that. And after a while, you will see that, you're not getting rabies. So, you start to feel better. But there's usually just a lot of exposure, a lot of reassurance rather behaviors. And that's why it seems so real. Next question is, hi Ali. My question is, what is imaginary OCD? And I heard a word from your video, magical thinking OCD. What are these meanings? Can you explain both? Um, I don't really know what I meant when I said imaginary OCD. It's kind of hard. I have 500 videos. um, in terms of magical thinking OCD, that would be things that are unconnected. So, for example, if I move, I have a teacup right here, right? If I move this teacup, something bad is gonna happen to someone. So under no circumstances can I move it, or I have to move this teacup 50 times, or something bad is gonna happen to someone. That's like magical thinking OCD. It doesn't really make sense, right? But it feels like by magic something is gonna happen. And it doesn't actually, you don't have to have that thought process that with the magic, but it's by some sort of a force, I can cause something bad to happen because of this little action. That's magical thinking OCD. I don't know what I was talking about with imaginary OCD. I don't really, to be honest, remember using that term, but if you can point me to a video, then I'll let you know. Next question is, Ali, I'm suffering from unwanted imaginary thought, like a picture or an image. How to reduce them? They come in my mind the whole day. I have religious OCD. What should I do to reduce them? So to reduce images, try to invite more of these images to come in. So you want to say, instead of trying to run away from them and, oh, I can't have this image, this is such a horrible image, I have to maybe try to occupy my mind in any way to prevent the image. All you're doing when you do this is you're powering the image up further. What you want to say instead is, okay, OCD, bring up all the images. Let's see them all, you know? And then your brain actually doesn't know what to do in this situation, because the only reason it's bringing up the images is because you react with panic, but you're not reacting with panic now. So, you know what I mean? So basically you're saying, go ahead, do your worst. I don't care anymore. This is all silly. And then the brain doesn't have anywhere to go with that. It might still bring up the images. That's probably what the go-to move will be. But if you keep doing that, so it brings up the images, then you're still like, I don't care. Bring up another image. Sure, you do another one. You know what I mean? Like really taunt it. It's taunting you. You taunt it. And the more you do that, you will see that the images will start to slow down. But try to look at it as this is autopilot bringing up images, and it doesn't matter what kind of image it brings up. It has nothing to do with religion. It has nothing to do with you. It's literally brain on autopilot. You're kind of just a bystander. The the witness of this. You have nothing to do with the process. Uh, the only way to stop it in the future is to refuse reaction now. But right now, this image that comes in right now, there's nothing you can do about an image that will come in, say, few minutes from now or a day from now. It will take a while to reduce. So you're just the watcher right now, the bystander. Don't personalize it. This has nothing to do with you. This is autopilot brain. That's the end of the questions for today. If you would like to do one-on-one recovery program with me, all the information is on youhaveocd.com. You can sign up from there. If you would like to hear more tomorrow, please don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you tomorrow in the video.